I would help if I unmute my mic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday morning of the codename Entertainment Games Content Network. Yeah, I don't know. We're running with it. I am Gaarawarr. This is Gaarawarr's Guide to the Champions of Renown, Year 2. It's like we're counting down. We did Champions of Renown Year 3 last week. I wonder what next week is going to be. I'm curiouser. So we're going to go over that today. That's going to be a group of people that I totally can name without going and looking up. No, I've totally got to refresh my memory. Hey, there they are. So we get the Shandy, the Walnut, the Paulton, the Ayla, and the Spurt today that we're going to talk about. These packs tend to come up in lots of conversations, especially when we get lots of new players coming into the game, because they're curious. Hey, is this a good value? Do these champions, do they work in the current meta? Spoiler alert, yes, they work in the current meta. The value is always subjective because, it depends on how many of them you already own. So we'll go over that today. And then that'll be like the first half of the show. The second half will be a Q&A. So as always, we have the wonderful Jay in the chat somewhere, pulling any questions people may have. Throw a question, tell people, put the question after that, and then Jay will pull it into a document I have over here. So it's not that I'm ignoring your questions, it's that we'll get to them in the second part. Let me see. Hold on. Live updates. Okay. So we're either going to have Jay or Sasha, because technical difficulties this morning. All the technical difficulties. Like I put in chat also, just for a heads up, the code that shows on the screen is not live yet, but will be eventually. So if you're punching in code into chat, that's, well, the one that's showing up right now is Bushwhacker 2. So obviously that's not for us. But if you're just coming in for the code will arrive at some point, but just not live right now. All right, so let's dive right in. As my team is fighting a treant, I decided this week we're going to do this one up in the higher levels, so we can show off, how some of these champions like to get beat upon. Which, if we're going to dive right into that, let's just start with one of my favorite choices, and should be one of your favorite choices, Ayla. Ayla comes to us from Erois. She is one of the heroes of Erois. Which we now have all in the game. So that's Ayla, Lucius, Nova, Keelik, and Sentry. We talked about Nova in the Champions of Renown Year 3 pack. So hey, we get another one. So let's dive right in. Ayla is tanking and support. You can definitely use her anywhere in your formation, but if we're being completely straightforward and honest, hands down my pick for best tank in the game. Some people will argue about that, but, whatever. Some people argue about anything. All right. So, the main key that Ayla functions off of, let's just go, hold on, I'm going to back up, because I didn't really stop and look at. This is the Champions of Renown Year 2 All-Star Pack, is what they call it. If you purchase this pack, you're going to get all 5 of these champions, even if you don't own them. While I'm making this video, there's currently an event with Paulton in it, so you may already own Paulton. But you would get all 4 of these champions. You also get 16 gold chests for each of them. And as denoted up here in the corner, hey, there's 10 shiny cards. What does that mean? That means there's going to be 2 cards per champion that are boosted by 50% of their power for you just automatically. So you're going to get some pretty solid decked out gear for each of the champions. And you also get this neat walnut skin. I mean, look, it's got antlers. Come on. that's cool. So yeah. Normally you'd be spending like, $20 or more per champion for that kind of setup, plus a skin on top of it, which is how they, figure out, what the total highest is. So you get it all for like $55, which is, if you know this is a game that you're gonna play and put a lot of hours into it, that's a pretty good deal. It just depends on, your disposable income, but for the record, someone asked me this yesterday. I now have over 16,000 hours in the game after 3+ years of playing, and I'm not even at the top of that mark. There's people in the 26,000, so dollar per hour, pretty good value. All right, so let's talk about Ayla again. So at the moment, I have Ayla just kind of in the back, because I haven't leveled her up to have her be really a tanky tank. But honestly, I could probably. Come on, do that knockback. There we go. No. Didn't get the swap in. I'm not quick enough this morning. We'll get there. So Storm Aura is what we start off with. Basic attack, the Howling Gale. Ayla attacks the nearest enemy with Warhammer, knocking them back slightly. That's what I was waiting for, to get that tank off the boss, or the boss off the tank, and then swap them, but I wasn't quick enough. Storm Aura. Every 4 seconds, a random enemy approaching the formation is primed. Primed enemies take 50% more damage from all champions. So you can see these have already been primed, and they're actually in their second state. That's what this electric stuff going on is. Heart of the Storm is just the general tanky, I'm a tank, I'm going to share some of my health with everyone in the group type of thing. Storm Soul, when Ayla attacks a primed enemy, they are stunned for 2 seconds and electrified. So this is why we see them all with tons of electricity on them. And then they take, from all champs, they take more damage for every alive electrified enemy. So you take whatever your number is here and you multiply it by the number of champions or of enemies that are out. Right now we only have like 4. Right, but you can technically have up to 100 enemies on the screen at once on a non-boss level. Things can get pretty wild. So let me see. Can we get the attack? And there we go. Swap. No, it just doesn't. Oh, it's because I've got the ranged here. That's what's going on. All right, let's back up. Let's do it this way. I forget that I was getting attacked constantly by the ranged minions. Silly ranged minions. So she may die, but that's fine. Raging Storm. So when Ayla attacks an electrified enemy, if there are any nearby enemies that are just primed, like so when things are building up and enemies are building up or they're stacking back as a ranged group, it just spreads that electrified to everyone around it, and they get stunned again. And then Shielding Storm, this is why I put her in the front. When an electrified enemy attacks Ayla, she gains a temp HP at 10% of her max health for each alive electrified enemy. So if we look over here, we see that she's got a temp shield. I don't even have her leveled up that far, and it's already 4.0 E1 E07. And resetting occasionally now. See, it just reset 2.41 E08. And she's going to take damage, it's going to tick down, and then it's going to reset again. And we're going to let it do that for a moment while we watch. Because the thing about Ayla's shield is it automatically resets itself every so often. So she can take a lot of damage. It can eat through the shield. As long as she lives long enough for it to click to that reset again, the shield's going to reset itself. This is actually better than heals, because temp HP goes above your health, and means that you can take more. Like if she were just healing herself, like say Briv does, the amount of damage she could take would be limited to her maximum health pool. Instead, you get an extension effectively above the top of the health pool. So normally she has, like at the moment, at the level I have her at, she gets 4 EO8 HP. But adding that 2 EO8 HP shield that it currently is gives her 50% more health effectively. She can take a hit that's 50% larger than normal. That's a big deal, right? That's a big deal for a tank, and that's why I put Ayla at the top of my tank list. Hey, Welcome, Dylan. Dylan has fixed the code. Much appreciated. We were having lots of conversations yesterday, and I think we both got distracted, and neither of us tested it. So we apologize, but it is fixed. Oh, and there's a bonus code. Oh my, that's our first ever. All right, so we're going to let this shield kind of go off. If you see, look, we're getting attacked by all the things. It's just going to sit there for a while, and the boss is going to power up, and it's going to do all the things, and that's fine. This is a demonstration of Ayla's tankiness. All right, ultimate. Ayla unlocks Storm Herald ultimate attack. Now what this does is basically, if we hover over it, lightning across all enemies. So if you didn't have everyone like primed and set up, like suddenly you're going to unleash all the lightning across everyone on here. We'll fire it off. Bam! And stuns everything. It's fantastic. So that's a nice little thing that you can keep in mind. And set things up, and then obviously that feeds into everything else she does. And then we get into her spec choices. She has two options. One is like make things stun longer. That's over here on the right, Stormbreaker. If you're really looking for more stuns, like we don't really have a lot of stuns. Stuns help with survivability to a certain degree, right? Because the more often things are stunned, the less often they're attacking you, right? But Ayla's pretty survivable, so keying into that survivability with Stormcaller, in my opinion, is better. So it basically reduces the cooldown on the Storm Aura by 2 seconds. This just means you're going to prime things faster, so you have a quicker chance of getting everything into that electrified state by getting them into the prime state first. And we're going to start leveling up, even though she's a monster already. Because we want to get to Aerois Synergy. So again, she is one of the heroes of Aerois. They do have a synergy. We went over this in depth with all of like the synergies and talking about the heroes of Aerois in Gaarawarr's Guide to Heroes of Aerois. You can find that on the CNE YouTube channel. So Ayla contributes to the synergy pool 100% per electrified enemy in the screen. And then it states that's a max of 10,000%. That's because there is a max of 100 enemies on screen on a non-boss level, which, you know what? Hold on. Should we do that? Let's see if we can do that with this group. I may have to pull some people out if things start dying. But let's see if we can get 100. Let's see if we can get 100. Just because. So we're at a 443 EOH shield. As enemies start pouring out more than the 15 that were on that previous level, this number will start going up. So keep an eye on that. So up to 10,000%, electrified enemies then take additional damage equal to 25% of the total Aerois Synergy pool. So that is on top of the debuff that is already applied that we discussed earlier. Yay! Dylan's out, Sasha's in. Hey, we've just got the musical chairs today for our moderator. Thank you all, and welcome. And then everything else is going to be upgrades to this stuff for Ayla. So we're going to let Ayla sit here and see as it updates. Again, right now we're at a 442 EOH shield, but we've got more enemies pouring out all the time. It is in my memory, it is a 15-second reset. Yeah, that looks about right. That looks about right. Hold on. No, I want a time. Ayla's shield does reset itself automatically, unlike, say, Tyrell, who is the other self-shielding champion in the game. And to my memory, it's every 15 seconds that Ayla's works, because it's every 30 seconds when maxed for Tyrell. But I could be wrong. It could be 30 seconds for both of them. So, well, there was the reset, and now I'm going to watch with my timer up. So there's 5. So basically we just watch and we see how quickly the number grows, but we may be at max now. Did we just max it out? Anyway, that would have been 15 seconds right there. So if it was going to do it at 15, it would have done it there. But I think we're at max enemies, unfortunately. There, it's ticking down. We'll see when it resets again. In 2 seconds. Hey, there it goes. Okay, so it's every 30 seconds. All right, so I guess they're both at 30 seconds. Which is fine. So it's going to auto do that on its own. As you can see, we're sitting here with this is 100 enemies. How do you know? This is a little bonus factoid for Gaarawarr's Guide to Everything. When there's no more spawning, that means you are at the max, and the max will always be 100%, or 100 enemies. And that's when they start raging. So if none of you have ever seen regular enemies in rage, here you go. This is a thing that happens. All right, so we will let Ayla just take all that nonsense because she can. And we will move on to a champion who is part of our event right now, and that is Paulton. Let me bring out champions that don't need to exist here for the moment. You know what, we'll leave Human in just because Human's real cool. So let's talk about Paulton. Paulton is from the show that is no longer active, Dice Camera Action. That was an official D&D show. If you didn't watch it, it's real neat. You can go back and watch it. We've got a couple characters from there in the game. They are a support and gold find champion. And it says Human Bard. They are a Vistana as well, like Esmeralda. But they don't have that noted here. Paulton, you know, here doing his bard thing. On his shoulder is his son, and that is Simon, the evil animated doll from Barovia. And the basic attack is actually Simon. Simon will open his mouth and shoot a dart to attempt to attack people that he doesn't like, which is so Simon. That's so Simon. All right, let's pop some levels up. Here we go. So, Paulton, lucky. Paulton increases party's gold find by 25% for each champion adjacent to them. This isn't necessarily something you want to build your formation around, unless you're specifically trying to just maximize gold find. It is something to keep in mind, but you don't necessarily build around it. But good to know, good to know. Magical secrets. Paulton increases the damage of champions not adjacent to them by 50% for each champion that is adjacent to them. So here we see a synergy with Lucky, right? We want to get a certain number of people around him because that's going to increase the buff that he provides for both gold find and damage. But we don't want to be adjacent to the DPS. So in this formation, instead of going here, which would make it very hard to be not adjacent to your DPS champion, you would go somewhere like here, where you would have potentially 4 people buffing you, which we'll get to later. Here we go. Stronger together. Increases the damage of the Waffle Crew members in the formation by 150% for each member of the Waffle Crew in the formation. So this is the affiliation buff, and that's Evelyn, Paulton, and Strix. It's not the greatest buff anymore. If you want to use the Waffle Crew and run them in your formation, that's great. You've got Evelyn as a tank. You've got Strix as DPS, or potentially support, but usually DPS. And then Paulton is support. You can run that, and you'll get a little bit of extra damage out of it from Stronger Together, but it's not necessarily something you would build a formation around because, oh, wow, that's a great bonus, right? But they are giving you a little incentive if you do. Now, upgrade paths, Luck of the Vistani or additional secrets. So you can either increase the gold find or you can increase the damage. So early on, as a newer player, quite frankly, increasing the gold find, just like with Jarlaxle, picking his gold find spec, tends to be the better option because more gold means more power in a more direct way, while you're still early on in your adventures and you're not like soft capping all of your champions. Later on, when you can get to the soft cap, that's this circle with a line through it down here at the bottom, then you go additional secrets just to maximize the damage because the gold isn't really going to help you at all, right? So that's where we're going to go here today. And we'll run them all the way up to the max level. Keep in mind, I did not max out Ayla. Ayla's at 500. Ayla's got more levels to go. And yet Ayla's doing fine. Doing just fine. In the front of the formation with more shield than anything else. 1 EO5 health, but an 8 EOH health, or an 8 EO tip HP shield, because why not? Because why not? All right, back to Paulton, though. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. So Paulton's very straightforward. Oh, he does get edgy. Wait, no, where's edgy? I know it's here. There it is, 700. It's way up there. This is something to keep in mind when you get to the point where you can put enough levels into Paulton to get him to 700. This ability's way up there. That's why I totally spaced out on it. He buffs the effect. He basically doubles his magical secrets if he's on the edge of a formation. So that's one of the reasons why I put him here, because this would be an edge. An edge is something that has like no top, or an edge has nothing behind it, or an edge would be the tank, or, nothing on the bottom. This is not an edge because it's got things adjacent to it, right? This is the only example in this formation, really. But this is an edge because there's nothing above it. There is something behind it, so it isn't a back edge. There's something in front of it, so it's not a front edge, and there's something below it, so it's not a bottom edge, right? It's a top edge. So this placement actually gives you better. Like even if I could put Paulton here with 6 adjacent, this is going to give me a bigger magical secrets buff because it's going to treat it as if it's like 8 adjacent because it's doubling, right? Effectively, it's not that straightforward, but you're getting much more power out of going here than you are necessarily going here. Let's just leave it at that. And then the math people won't get upset at me because, heaven forbid, I don't tell you exactly the proper math. It's more damage, folks. It's more damage over here. Because your DPS is going to want to be right here. So you can't put him here. All right. She's still hanging. Oh, now she's dead. Well, that was a lot, though. Powered up to 45. Now, I'm going to put her all the way up. And we'll do it again. All right. Dun, 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 dun. So that's Paulton. Oh, his ultimate. I guess we could have done that while it was leveled up. Paulton swings the Sun Sword, dealing massive damage to all enemies. The damage is increased by the current enemy enrage multiplier. So that enrage counter that was ticking up, you can do more damage if you wait. Basically, you hold on to Thunderwave until you're just about to die. You leave it as that last ditch effort on a boss, and then you pop it. Heck, you can even pop it right as your tank dies, because your bud will have already been set. When you hit it, you're going to get the highest possible enrage multiplier and attempt to wipe everything out. So here's what it looks like. It's a nice pulse of energy. Hey. All right. So, off the top of my head, again, I've got to remind myself who's in this pack. We have Spurt, right? Yes, we do have Spurt. Spurt, Walnut, Shandy. Oh, I had Shandy in earlier. I removed her. You know what? No, let's talk about Shandy because I already have her leveled up. So why not? Shandy. Shandy has a song written about her. Bardic Inspiration. If you haven't watched Bardic Inspiration, you should check out the playlist on YouTube. Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. I think they were going to say Waterdeep, and then they're like, no, she's from Baldur's Gate. Anyway. Part of the heroes of Baldur's Gate with Dalinar, Crydal, Minsk, Naris, and Shandy. Again, you can build a Baldur's Gate formation if you'd like, but just throw Shandy in. Shandy fires explosive arrows at the closest enemy, and then her ultimate is like smoke grenades, caltrops. They basically, enemies bleed and miss 50% of their attacks for 10 seconds. So it's a nice little, the damage is okay, but the key is, that survivability by enemies missing half their attacks, right? Which we can show off here. Boom. Whapa. Look at that. Look at that smoke cloud. Yep. And then we see lots of misses popping off above the tank. You can see it right above the damage signs. Little miss. That's normally not there. Pretty neat. So Shandy's going to she has an Agile Allies feature, which, to be completely honest, I forget about all the time when I'm building my formation. But basically increases damage of champions within 2 slots of Shandy by 100% for each champion adjacent to Shandy with a dex of 15 or higher. So this is where stats come in, right? When everyone's always asking, well, why do the stats matter and what do stats do? Well, they can trigger or affect certain abilities. One is, hey, if if you've got a lot of high dex champions in your formation, you kind of want to build it around Shandy. To get this buff. So right now, let's see, what does Paulton have? Does he have a lot of dexterity? Oh, he does. So she's going to trigger one of that right now, just by being near Paulton. And we'll see who else we throw in to add more. This is the big thing that Shandy gets used for most of the time, and that's her dash. Increases the game speed. Initially, it's like 25% when the formation hasn't been under attack for 60 seconds. So right now, we're not going to see that speed effect. But this speed effect, Shandy's dash, is like a potion of speed. In fact, it is so like a potion of speed that when it is active, you don't need as many potions of speed, because potions of speed the effect off of them caps at 10x speed. And because Shandy contributes to that, you can get close to or up to that. Like you can get to like 9.281 or whatever with just 2 potions and Shandy. Which is fantastic. That's how I tend to run it instead of running 10x, because then I save potions. Explosive arrows. Shandy fires explosive arrows when the formation is under attack. For each enemy hit, Shandy increases the damage of the column in front of her by a bunch. Right? This is what I tend to base my placement around more than Agile Allies, because I want to buff, the row in front of me by a bunch when we're under attack, because that's the perfect time to deal more damage. So explosive arrow tends to be what I build around. Ranger training is a specialization. Oh, let's pop a potion for her so you can see all the choices. Ranger training is what increases the dash effect. Since I'm at my wall, I don't need that. Alchemist's fire doubles the explosive arrow. Again, that's usually what I build around. But if you're building around Agile Allies, this increases Agile Allies by 50% for each neutral or evil champion next to Shandy. So another thing to factor in, not only do you want to factor in Dex 15 plus, but they also have to either be neutral or evil. Again, I tend to go Alchemist's Fire. So if I'm wanting all the damages with Shandy, that's where I'm going to end up. And she doesn't have any hidden up above. Nope. We'll talk about feats for everyone at the end. Just because generally they're all roughly the same. For support champions, you're going to get the all champs damage. For tanks, you're going to get health and all champs damage. It's what slot is Shandy? Shandy is over here with your Ashara and your Krull and your Krond and your Evelyn. That's the slot 6. Paulton slot 4. Ayla's slot 10. Yeah. And how do you get Shandy? Well, today we're talking about the Champions of Renown Year 2 All-Star Pack. So you can get Shandy, from Time Gates or an event if she's still available. I'd have to double check. It's Year 2. Did we do hers already? I've got to check my own guides here. As we're phasing into with Year 2, you will see more and more champions available either for the last time in an event, as the screen gets real bright for a second because Reddit doesn't want to load. Either last time for an event, or you'll only be able to pull things out of a time gate. But Shandy isn't quite there yet. Shandy's going to be coming up midsummer. I was going to say that's the wrong time of year. So midsummer. So we've got a ways to go before Shandy's event. Quite a ways. 8 events. So Shandy is still available to pick up in an event, but, if you like Speed Champion, she's actually in my recommended for picking up really, really early, because she's really, really great for speed. Like, she doesn't need gear. Here's the thing. Her speed effect, as you note, there was a specialization for it, but there isn't any gear for it. I guess we didn't really go over the gear. She buffs her explosive arrow. She buffs Agile Allies. And then she has the usual ultimate attack. So she's about buffing. Oh, we died again. She's about buffing with her items and not necessarily about buffing her speed with her items. So you can just grab her and throw in and use her specialization. She doesn't have any feats that affect that. I guess we'll go over there. She doesn't have any speed feats. It's just all champs damage and then specific to her buffs, and she gets a couple stat feats. But really, it's all about Agile Allies in terms of feats. That and all champs damage. Paulton's got gold and all champs damage, and then, he ups his magical secrets and his lucky. So, all the gold, and then he gets 1 stat feat. All the gold, all the damage. Pretty straightforward. They're both pretty straightforward with their feats, and Ayla is as well. All champs damage, health, lots of health. Health would help here. I don't even have her in a tanky build. Actually, I would probably want Calm Under Pressure, since we are stacking up to 100. So this would be like the super tank build. It bumps her Overwhelm up to 35, and gives her 30% more health, so that she can stay alive longer, because that's what you want out of a super tank. Super tank. Let's add another kobold to the party, shall we? Spurt. Oh, I'm going to have to pull him out of my background party. Spurt. Oh, that was real quick. Jeez. Spurt is one of our 2 champions that have made an appearance on Critical Role. Archon being the other. Spurt was played by Chris Perkins for a grand total of maybe a half an hour. Oh, Spurt. Spurt is a kobold rogue in the game. I get that pop about. Technically an inventor, but they've basically given him a rogue status. Spurt tosses wasp nests at random enemies, dealing damage. So it's all the flavor. Items, again, all about the support, because that's what he is. Centipede net, pack tactics we'll get to, and then the ultimates. Now, Spurt has a unique ultimate. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Really neat. But Spurt is pure support and nothing else. Let's put him in the middle, just for flavor. So boom, Centipede net increases the damage of adjacent champions by a bunch, right? So Spurt is all about his creations and how he's using that. Waspiration. Instead of inspiration, Spurt gives waspiration. Whenever Spurt attacks an enemy, wasps swarm that enemy until they're killed. When 4 wasped enemies are killed, Spurt invents a random effect for 60 seconds. Each effect can stack up to 5 times, with each stack expiring separately. Now, we're not killing anything at the moment, so I can't necessarily show you that specifically. But if I go over to Gaarawarr's Guide to Spurt on the subreddit, because of course that's a thing, the different effects you get are Stingy. Champions that attack with melee attacks deal 50% additional damage per Stingy stack. Skunky. Enemies that approach the party take 50% more damage per Skunky stack. Or Grubby. Reduces the base attack cooldowns of all champions by 0.2 seconds per Grubby stack. Right, so these are the things that Spurt can invent to inspire or waspire his fellow party members. Spurt's just funny. He is. Ultimate, Heroic Sacrifice. You dead. When Spurt uses his ultimate, he becomes Spurt's spirit until his ultimate is 10 seconds from cooling down. While he's a spirit, he increases the party's damage and buffs his other formation abilities in unique ways. Here we go, folks. You know, I don't often talk about, like, the best of something in a game, but this is the best ultimate in the game. You dead. Now, what you couldn't see because of all this stack of enemies was Spurt had jumped out, and that hammer just came down and squished him. Now we've got Spurt's spirit, so for game mechanic terms, he is alive. If you were to put him up in the tank line, he would take damage and then die, but for all intents and purposes, he now does nothing. He just sits there as a spirit. And his abilities now are passed off to other people. And he buffs things different. So Centipede Net is now buffed by an additional 10% for every 10 seconds, while Spurt is a spirit, up to 30 stacks. So 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. Up to 5 minutes. Now, this is where Spurt's ultimate works differently than others. I do have a 322 second cooldown on this. Now, this was shorter when I got him, but Spurt's slot 6 increases his cooldown. So this is the one rare case, or one of the rare cases of a slot 6 that doesn't cap. You can keep leveling this up and up and up, and it will keep increasing how long he stays a spirit. Because that makes him stronger. That makes everything he does stronger. Unlike all the other slot 6s, which reduce your cooldown timer, you want his cooldown to last as long as possible. And the game makes that happen. Now with Waspiration, champions adjacent to Spurt generate those Wasp Storms, because again, he's not attacking now at all. So everyone around him is now attacking. That's why I put him in the middle of this formation. Because we want eventually, we want those 6 champions around him to be triggering Wasps. Pack Tactics originally, which we hadn't quite gotten to yet, but it's originally increased the damage of all champions by 200% for every kobold in the formation, and now it's buffed by an extra 100% while he's a spirit. So again, everything about Spurt gets better when he's dead. Poor Spurt. Poor Spurt. So then we go either... Oh, we died. The formation got overrun. It happens. I don't have any other tanks supporting Ayla, so her health is not as great as it could be at the moment. Centipult. Centipede Net now also applies to champion slots 2 slots away from Spurt. So this is if you can't really place him right adjacent to your champion, but you can get him 2 slots away, like your DPS champion. But you can get him 2 slots away, and that may be better for his other buffs. You want to go here because of just how his buffs work with adjacencies and the wasps and everything. Otherwise, if you're going to run a bunch of kobolds, or even if it's just him and you can get him next door, you want to do Pack Tactics, which is what we're going to pick. Because we've also got... well, no, that's not a kobold. That's not 3 kobolds in a trench coat. That's a human. For the record, the reason I left human in here is human, even though that's 3 kobolds in a trench coat, human counts as 1 kobold for Spurt. Keep that in mind, because if they counted as more, that would basically break everything. Kobold family, that's the spec I chose, and then it's just all upgrades forever and ever and ever. So feats, all champs damage. You've got obviously Centipede Net. That's where I go. I max out the Centipede Net. We could throw in some Pack Tactics to drop over the 20% there, which I'm going to do since there's more of them in there. And then he's got a Constitution bonus if you need it. But yeah, we're gonna let him sit and do his thing while we bring out the nut. Oh no, do I have to swap? I do have to bring out Human. We'll bring out Walnut. I should probably change Walnut spec. This is the Kigurumi Walnut. It's stay-at-home Walnut. There's also Grove Keeper, and then the Clone Walnut is the one that you get in the Champions of Renown pack. What does Clone Walnut mean? Spoilers. Sorry, this has been a plot line that's out for a very long time. Almondron clones some of his employees, along with himself, but clones certain essential employees, and there was a clone made of Walnut. And so this is Clone Walnut. It was actually the Grove Keeper, which is... Well, there's a Grove Keeper, but then the Clone Walnut kind of took over the Grove, and storylines, plot lines. Lots of fun. Anyway, here's the normal Walnut. So Walnut, she is part of the Ack Inc. C team with Dinar, Cathris, Rosie, and Walnut. Well, she is Walnut, but there's 2 Walnuts. Her items are just going to go the tankiness and the support. She's got the Jobs Done. She's got the Wolf Nut, which we'll talk about, and then the usual ultimate stuff. So let us update. This is tank support. And she gets 2 different specialization choices, so we'll pause there. Documancer increases the damage of adjacent champions by 5% for each enemy killed in this area. So this is kind of the ramping buff. But it requires kills, which we're not doing at the moment. But Walnut is basically a snowball champion, so the more kills you get, the more powerful you get. But then when you stop killing, well, then there's a problem, right? So then you have to drop back and go... Wait, was that... Hold on, I gotta address this. Evil Emperor Zerg. Was that $54.99 for a skin? Yes and no. Again, we are talking about the Champions of Renown Year 2 All-Star Pack. To get this skin, this is the only place this skin exists, is in this pack. You're getting 5 champions, each with 16 golden chests, 2 shinies for each of the champions, and a walnut skin. So yeah, if you're only buying it for the skin, it's a $54.99 skin. Which is why I said, depending on the value of these packs is always dependent upon what you need out of it. Me personally, the reason I don't own this is because I have all of these champions and I have them all in epic gear. all I don't really have outside more shinies is the skin. So for me, it would be a 54.99 skin, which is why I don't have it. But, you know, for a new player, that's a lot of gear and a lot of great champions, as we're talking about. Maybe more viable for you. Job's done. Adds a bonus to Documancer for 30 seconds when completing a quest or entering a completed area. Killing enemies in a completed area resets the duration, right? So again, this is all feeding off of Documancer. And that's kind of the core focus here. Wolfnut is the tanking form of Walnut. Walnut uses Wild Shape to turn into a wolf whenever they're under attack, gaining 32 temporary hit points for each enemy on screen at the time of the transformation. So sometimes it can be okay, sometimes not. One of the ways that you would maximize this, like in this, 100 stack that we're doing here, is use an ability that pushes everyone away and then put Walnut in the front. And then they drop on, and then suddenly you've got huge temp HP shield. Not as big as Ayla, but pretty solid. Contractual obligations increase the health of all champions. This is the usual health share, except it's only 12.5%. Normally it's 25%. It's only 12.5% when she's not the tank, but when she is the tank and in wolf form, then it goes up. Makes sense. Pin pause. Gets me every time. Increases the effective Documancer by 100% for every 2 seconds that Walnut is in wolf form. The buff decreases every 4 seconds she's not in wolf form. So basically, ramping bonus to Documancer again, and everything pushes into Documancer. So ramping bonus to Documancer while she's tanking. The Spec Choices feed off of this again. Extended warranty. Documancer now applies to all champions within 2 slots of Walnut and is buffed by 100%. Or Documancer, assign a date. Documancer now applies to all champions in the top or bottom slot of each column and is only buffed by 50%. This is if you can't get them within 2 slots. Documancer now applies to all champions, but is not buffed for Oscar it, right? Ideally, you're going to want extended warranty, if at all possible. That's going to give you the biggest bonus. Let's get up to the second one and double check things in between, because I don't have an eidetic memory. Forest Friends is the ultimate. Oh, yeah, we're going to have to do that, aren't we? All right. Here we go. Walnut's ultimate not only does damage, it can provide either a heal or a shield for the team based off what happens. So, Walnut summons a swarm of lovable forest friends to attack all enemies. That's not all that happens, though. We kind of already did it. Oh, dang it. We're going to have to wait a minute. The other effect, each enemy killed heals the party by 10% of their max health, which means you get 100%. Oh, here, this is fine. We're dying. So if it kills 10 enemies, you're getting 100% health heal. However, if no enemies are killed, the formation gains a temporary hit point shield equal to 100% of their max health, which is why everybody now has a health shield. Because Walnut did that. Because we didn't kill anything with that ultimate. Normally, so Walnut, it can be a healing and shielding champion with the ultimate, but it depends. It's not listed here because it just depends on how the ultimate triggers. Does it kill things? Does it not? Here, we'll move back up. And now, while we're waiting for the cooldown to come back, second spec choice, cosigners or temporary alignment. No, alliance. Yeah, that was right. Second guessing myself. Each target of Documancer is buffed 100% for each of these buffs, also affecting the target. Cathris's Unseen Encouragement, Dinar's Lead by Example, Rosie's Deflect Missiles. So this, cosigners, you choose if you are running a C-team formation and have the other C-team members in the party, because that's going to give you a nice buff, right? At least one of them, or two of them, hopefully. But Temporary Alliance, basically the effective Documancer increased by 25% for each champion in the formation with an affiliation other than the C-team. So we already know we've got a Baldur's Gate. We've also got a Waffle Crew, right? And we've also got a Heroes of Erois. So we don't have any other C-team members, so we would go Temporary Alliance. And here we go. We're going to fire off Forest Friends again. Dun, 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 dun. Yay, look at them all go. Once it's gone, we'll see things ding, and we'll get a... There they go. See, everybody got their health shield, right? So that's how Forest Friends works. So Forest Friends is one of those things that you don't necessarily want to fire off right away just for the damage. You want to wait a bit because you could potentially get a heal or a shield out of it as well, which can help your combat. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah. So you can buff health, you can do all champs damage, you can get defensive duelist. There isn't anything specific for Walnut, like she doesn't get to buff Documancer because everything else buffs Documancer, so they just didn't. Everything's very general with Walnut's bonuses. Did I finish already? That was quick. We're getting this stuff down, folks. We've still got like another 10 minutes left to talk about this group specifically. So while we're here, what did I forget anything? Let me double check. Sorry, I missed it. What causes misses? Oh, we'll do that again while we're here. So Shandy Survivalist throws out smoke grenades and caltrops. So there is a bleed effect that comes from the caltrops, but the smoke grenade causes things to miss. So right now, if you'll notice, everything's hitting, right? Because you're just seeing damage pop up. But when we pop the smoke grenades, you'll see the misses start popping up above her head as well. So I can't zoom in, but they're all right there. So that's one of the miss effects in the game, which is nice. It's a 50% chance miss. Dritzt is another miss effect based off, I want to say is icing death. But yeah, but this one is basically just on ultimate cooldown. Dritzt is based off an attack, so there are a couple of miss effects. Rosie Beestinger has a deflect missile miss attack for ranged stuff only, ranged and magic stuff. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Boom. Spurt, you dead. Bam. I love that. That's always my favorite. All right. Now, if I really wanted to beef up Ayla and make her basically unkillable, we'd throw in another tank. This is not the ideal formation, folks. I'm just throwing stuff in here. If we wanted to buff Spurt up, we'd bring in more kobolds. Right. What else am I thinking of? What else would I want here? I mean, more tanks is always good. We should probably put a DPS in, huh? It's a Zorbu weekend right now. He's got all the buffs, so he's going to kill all the things. And sure, why not? Why not Strix to go with Paulton? But we will go Smelly Lunch, because Strix is support in this configuration. Hey, there we go. So, to recap, Ayla, tank, but also support. Like, we could swap this off. There's the Wolf Nut. Only when being attacked. You have a Spurt who is pure support and wants to be dead the whole time. Ideally, what you do is you just take a familiar and you park it right there. And if we want to go super ideal, do I have it available? I do. Baby Spurt. Baby Spurt on Spurt's ultimate. And then Shandy's generally used. She can be a great buffer if you don't have Crawl in that slot, or you're not using a Shara as your DPS. Shandy can be a great support with those explosive arrows. Like I was saying, that's usually what I build around, but you can build around that and Agile Allies at the same time to really maximize it. But a lot of times it's all about that speed buff, which at this point isn't going to trigger, which is why I switched the specs, because we're getting hit by lots of ranged people. But early on, when you're doing speed runs through Mad Wizard, Shandy is one of the keys to that, in my opinion. And then Paulton's a great option, swapping out for Jarlaxle, who's normally the base person in his slot, slot 4, because you get, unlike Jarlaxle, who just is either your DPS and gives you gold, And then if you're not using him as DPS, he's only giving you gold. Paulton you can put in to give you a lot of gold, not as much as Jarlaxle, but a lot, while also giving you lots of buffs. So it's nice to keep both of those things going at the same time. This is a horrible formation and it's bothering me. I gotta put somebody else in. No, I don't want to put anyone from there in. No. No again, because I'm too far away. You know what, let's put Freely in. Freely doesn't need to be adjacent to anyone. Freely just needs to be in the party. This is not an optimized formation, but it will push while we chat in the background. All right, we're going to do the Q&A break a little early because we got through it all real quick. Even with technical difficulties. So give me one moment and we'll be back, and I will go through all the questions that dropped in chat. So if you have questions and you want to ask questions, I will attack anything that has to do with this specific topic first, but then I'll go into general Q&A. So I'll be right back. And we're back. We didn't have a lot of questions about the Champions of Renown, so I'm going to... I think this is the only one, and that's, does the Walnut skin also contain an alternate for Wolfnut form? To be honest, I don't remember. So we'll leave the Kigurumi Walnut in, and we'll see if there's a different wolf, and then we'll try it with the other skin I have. I don't know if the one with the Grove Keeper pack has a different skin, because I don't own it. So I've never tested it. So we'll let that happen in the background. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, nothing else specifically about these 5 champions. I think they're all fairly straightforward champions. I don't think there's anything super confusing about them. Like Spurt would probably be the most complex of this group, which is saying a lot because I don't think he's complex, but really it's about his Waspiration. His Waspiration and the fact that when he's dead, it buffs different things and still applies, and it has stacks that it can build up. That's really the most complex thing about this group. So, Oakstaff, anyone know which story I need to run to get Dritzed? It's the Sword Coast campaign. You just run straight down the Sword Coast, and he's there real quick. It's in a variant. Say Under Deep Cartography, off the top of my head. There's a guide for that. I was saying this yesterday. I think there's most things in the game I can say there's a guide for that, and either I made it or I know who made it. Darius Major, in regards to gem farming, is it important if I set my reset level at level 15 or higher? Do I get some more benefits? I reset at higher levels. So with the gem farming, I mean, if you're gem farming on Mad Wizard, the magic number is 30. The first 30 levels are the fastest levels in the game. So you will see people, if you don't have Shandy, or you're not using Shandy to do your gem farming, you could just reset at 30 if you want. Just run to 30 and have your Modron reset at 30. Otherwise, you would look at, like, if you have Shandy, you want it to be as deep as possible, but still be a version of 30. So 30 or 80, 130, 180, etc. You keep going up because every 50 levels it repeats. So you base it off that. Because Shandy's speed effect kicks in after 60 seconds, you want to give Shandy the most possible time to be using her speed effect for the most possible efficiency. But there aren't any other benefits outside of that. One minor benefit, which is why you'll see my reset is at 525, is if you want to try to use Briv with Modrons, there's some shenanigans you can do that revolve around putting him in and going deeper than your click kills so that he still builds up some stacks so that when it does reset, he actually gets some jumps off. It's better if you have super high percentage of jumps and number. So like, I would say it's probably better if you have if you're triple jumping or quad jumping, it's going to be a better thing. I'm doing it with double jumping right now, and it's okay. It's okay. But if you're single jumping, I don't know that it's worth it at all. Why not gain some Briv stacks while doing this? Because this was about the Champions of Renown Year 2 and not about Briv. So I was demonstrating those tanking champions and Ayla's tankiness, which, I mean, she was withstanding hundreds of enemies at a time for a long period. I mean, yeah, eventually she dies because eventually everything dies. But a heck of a lot better than most. I wanted to highlight that, and I don't really. I mean, my Briv stacks they'll take care of themselves. Why is my base damage sometimes 0 when I check my DPS? Like when you check it up here, like this base DPS, which doesn't matter in the game at all. Probably because you're still insta-killing with click damage. So if a champion has never actually connected with a hit, it's going to show up as 0. That's my guess, because beyond that, who knows? Hey, you dead. Boom Daddy Max. Someone asked the other day what other champs have perma increases, and you mentioned the DPS, Zorbu, Black Viper, and Torgar. Yep. But I was wondering if there are any non-DPS ones like Morgaine. Morgaine is the only non-DPS one that has a permanent effect, and that's based off gold. But honestly, you just throw in Morgaine. Like, you don't necessarily go out and like, I'm just going to use Morgaine every run to get me more gold, and that's not. You just put Morgaine in when you're gold farming, like at the end of your run. If you're just trying to stack her up, I mean, you can use her your whole run, obviously, but she's going to basically increase her buff the most when you're doing like a high level Azaka gold farm. The rest of the time you're just not gaining enough gold to increase her buff, but you'll still get all of her bonuses from what she's already done. And technically, Zorbu and Torgar are support as well as DPS, so they just, Torgar doesn't get used as much as I would like to see. And I think that's just, I don't know. I think that's just people's choice. And Zorbu's now, some people are still fully relying on him for DPS. Some people aren't. BA Billy G. Question about Zorbu. I have the same issue with numbers that I do with letters, and I can't quite figure out his hunter buff. Specifically, what gives better results? Zorbu's 60% damage versus Zorbu 80% hunter feat. Usually it's the bigger numbers, the better. And if I, off the top of my head, I think they both feed into each other, but let's go take a look. So we're talking 60% damage versus this 80% hunter's pack, right? So if we're boosting hunter's pack by 80%, what that specifically is increase the damage of champions adjacent to Zorbu, but also him, because it also buffs it. This is what also affects Zorbu himself, is probably the most broken thing about Zorbu. If it was just a buff for other people, he probably would have been balanced this whole time. So because this increases his damage, because this is a straight buff to his damage, increasing it by 80% is like increasing his own damage by 80%. So if you have the 80% Ceramorph Hunter buff, you're going to use that instead of Sharpshooter. If you have Strahd unlocked with the perks, then you also then use Keen Mind. Why? Because Strahd's perks buff more than a feat does. So Best and Brightest increases the damage of champions with int 13 or higher by 150%. So I'm getting 150% off Keen Mind. And then I don't have that other feat, so I'd take the 60% off Sharpshooter. But this one would be the better option if I had it. So you just look to see if it's a straight up buff to damage, which this one is. And you make your decision like that. I need to close that because I can't see the chat. There we go. We're doing gem farms on Mad Wizard. Why bother going past 80? Garth Mindfeather, then I kind of just explained that. It really is why bother going past 30? That's the actual question. And like I said, it's do you have Shandy or not? The further you can go with Shandy, the more efficiency you're getting out of Shandy, right? Because every time you reset, like if you could go to, let's say 480, with instant click kills, then that's going to be better for you with Shandy than going to 80 with Shandy, because when you reset at 80, then there's still that 60 seconds of downtime, which is more than 60 actual seconds. It's 60 seconds, like it doesn't count transitions and things. So there's still that 60, actual game time killing seconds with Shandy that you're going to have no speed buff. So the further you can go when you have Shandy, the more efficient your gem farm is. As long as you're insta-killing. Like right now, I'm not being very efficient because I'm not insta-killing. But I'm not doing this to be efficient right at the moment. So does Spurt's ultimate count as Spurt dying? In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. So it doesn't count for Baloth. But, and this is why I could have sworn it was counting for Strix is haunted. It is. I believe it is. With 3 stacks? We'll see. We'll see when it dies again. When he dies again. But at one point, it was working for haunted. They don't make it work for Baloth, which I was disappointed about. But we'll see in a moment. I shouldn't be dying anytime soon. So we'll see in about 5 minutes if this goes from 3 to 4. If it still works for haunted. How many item levels does Briv need to double jump? I don't know off the top of my head. There's like somebody made a spreadsheet for that in the Discord. When it's not, like things like that, I don't memorize because there's a reference for it somewhere, right? Yeah. Somebody's got that number. What skin is on Walnut currently? This is the stay-at-home Walnut skin. So this was, earlier last year in the pandemic. This was, hey, stay at home, play video games, have this Walnut skin. And I triggered this so that we would get to a level where, here, let's do it this way. I'll just take Zorbu out. And then we won't kill anything, and then we'll see what Walnut looks like in her wolf nut form. Good morning, Dread Cactus. Welcome, welcome. What are we going to unlock the chest? I'm new. Oh yeah, see? Even Wolf Nut is in a little Kigurumi. So that works there. You click open the store and you go to unlock a locked chest up at the top, and then you enter in the code here. Champs of Renown, year 2. Like that. Hey, Electrum chest. Alright, let us... Here, we'll kill these off. And we'll switch Walnut skin over and we'll see... it's the Grovekeeper one. Does the Grovekeeper one change too? Let's see. Let's find out. I'm hearing it has leaves. That's what I would expect. I would expect it to look like she's wearing the cloak of leaves. Yeah, it's got some leaves along the back. So yeah, little nods here and there. Which would tell me there's probably a difference with the clone Walnut, like maybe it has horns. But I don't own it, so I can't tell you off the top of my head. Let's see. Yeah, people talking in chat about when Briv's stuff with Briv and Shandy. Yeah, that's. I mean, ultimately, you want to go with gem farming. You want to go as far as possible. At least in your active group, that's what I do. Like I said, mine is up to 525, but that's because I could do a little. If you can see my formation there, with Briv in the front. There's some shenanigans that I don't get a ton of Briv stacks. I didn't fine tune it that much. You can mess with a lot of things, and there's a guide for that in the Discord, in the resources channel, I think, for like removing Modron pipes and stuff to try to fiddle it down and get a lot of stacks for Briv. But I tend to jump like 60 something levels. I don't know. No, I got 136 levels skipped this last time. Yeah, but I'm only a double jumper in like 65%. So the higher you get that number, the more impactful Briv becomes, and the more building Briv into your gem farming formation matters. But before that, it doesn't matter. With my second party, I only run them to 80 and reset. And this is just arbitrary because it's a background party, so there are no speed effects. I just picked a number. And it just made sense that since I was in the 30-80 mindset, I just chose the 80. But it really doesn't matter in the background party. I could choose the 30. I can go way above this, easily moving one zone per minute with this group. So it doesn't bother me at all. I just let it soak up free gems in the background. I put all my familiars on leveling up the champions. There's none on the field or click damage. And it does its thing. All automated like. Does closing a time gate early help anymore? No, Moody plays. And honestly, I think the fact that the effect is still in the game that people ask that question about is a problem. I think they just need to remove it. For those who don't know, if you open a manual time gate with, use your pizza pieces, use your time gate pieces to open a manual time gate, but then you close it without doing anything, you get 2 time gate pieces back. 1 per basic adventure gold chest you didn't collect. So this is a holdover from back when time gates worked differently. So when time gates originally came out, even opening a manual time gate, it was a random 3 champions you got out of a manual time gate. And because you spent 6, hoarded time gate pieces on it, it felt real bad if none of those champions were something that you wanted. So what they did was they said, well, if you open it up and you get 3 that you don't even like at all, just pick one, because picking one would reduce the cooldown timers on anyone you didn't pick, right? Because that's how time gate works. Like, or the adventure requirements for anyone you didn't pick. That's what I meant to say. You would pick one, but then you would close it out right away, and you would get a refund of 2 of those time gate pieces. So it wasn't a complete loss. But now, when you do a manual time gate, you can pick anyone you want. So there's literally no reason why would you pick them if you were going to do all their adventures? It makes no sense. They just need to remove it. Because it confuses people. It confuses the heck out of people. How do you get Briv without paying? Do they come from state? So Briv is a event champion. So you can wait and you can do his event when it rolls around, or you can pick him up in a time gate. So the aforementioned time gate. If you open a manual time gate, so you have 6 of these pieces, you can click view, and then you can just choose him. You can choose any event champion and any time gate champion from the past out of a time gate. So you could just pick him up that way. You can also buy them in the store for cash. Glocks and stocks. Do champions automatically upgrade in your split party, or do you need to use auto clickers to upgrade them? You have to. Yeah, automation is a combination of familiars and Modron cores. So you can check out Gaarawarr's Guide to Automation. You need both. So if we go back and we look now that I completed that, if we swap parties, your Modron core is only gonna reset your stage, load in any potions you might want to load in, and effectively press a save formation button. But your familiars are what purchase your champions and level them up. So you need to have your familiars out. That's not. Why is Delana here? Get away. I don't know what happened. This got all screwed up because I pulled Spurt out. I don't know why. Sean! That's not right at all. No, I don't want to pull Spurt out. All right. Go away. You don't belong here. That's one of the problems. All right. Yeah, so you got to put the familiars on the champions if you want them to actually level up. If you don't, that's one of the things. Like, yes, getting more Modron cores is great. You want to use them. You want to have getting more parties is great. You want to have a background party running. But if you don't have lots of familiars, you need to run that background party manually. So you just got to keep an eye on it, check in on it, just like back in the day when there was no Modron cores. You got to run things manually. That 525 icon on the top right, I don't think I have that. How is that set up? This is your Modron automation setup. So if you haven't unlocked Modron multi-party mode and Modron automation, then this isn't going to show up. But it's all triggered off this ability here. If you want to check out, again, Gaarawarr's Guide to Multi-Party and Modron Automation. I think that was the very first specifically focused Gaarawarr's Guide. Basically, you need to qualify for Split the Party and complete it. And then once you do that, you will get to do... you'll have a multi-party mode like this. And then you'll have a Modron core, and then you set up... This is your Modron automation, so it lets you set a formation, set your area goals, set your buffs, do all the things. Man, we are killing him without a DPS. Freely OP. Which Discord where? Is it in the description? Did somebody put the Discord in the chat? Yeah, okay. Yeah, they linked it in the chat. Discord.gg/idle champions. Yay! Yeah. Join that. There's a resource channel. The tavern is where general discussion happens. There's a new player room, like #new players under resources. That's probably where you're going to want to go. There's a channel with tons and tons of combinations for codes. So there's lots of gear for you in there. What are the speed shapes again? Currently, like Deacon and Shandy are the two that I would say to go for right away because their effects work without any gear. But the Human right now, you can pick up Human in the event if you're watching the stream live. Human is a speed effect champion. You've also got Briv. Briv and Melf and Sentry are all speed champions, speed effect champions, but they all need lots of item levels. So they want really nice items, like they want epics, preferably golden epics, and they want lots and lots of item levels because their speed effects scale with item levels. And then let me see. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Havilar. Havilar has a speed effect, but it's very specific to only when fiends are out. And there are a lot of fiends in Mad Wizard, so that's why she's in my Mad Wizard formation. Hers doesn't need item levels, though. But it is just very specific. So you would either, in a very specific adventure that has fiends, or if you're in Avernus, lots of fiends in Avernus, she kicks off that speed effect there as well. And I can probably just turn this on now. And it will do the swippy swappies for me. Stormrazor, I can't get past area 14 of that mission, even following Silesa's guide. I think you mean 13. And yeah, don't use Silesa's. This is the one time I'm going to tell you not to use a guide that somebody else in the community's made. Silese's guide to split the party is not great for new players. The basics are fine. The issue is when you come to the tree boss, what is not stated in that guide is it is 100% acceptable to throw out as many champions in your formation as you need to get past that boss. Because the rest you can farm favor for, but that boss specifically needs a lot of champions on the field to beat. Silese's guide assumes you have a lot of power coming in from global blessings and global perks. So if you don't, and maybe even items and item levels, if you don't, which most new players don't, you've reached the tree boss if you're... Oh, is it 15? If you can't get past 14, there's a bigger problem. If you can't get to the tree boss at all, there's a bigger problem. Hold on, let me double check. I have not made a written guide for this, but I have done it multiple times. Let me see if I have. Oh yeah, here we go. There. I'm a mod now. I can post links in chat. Ha ha ha. So yeah, this is I did this on an account. This is back in November, I had made a brand new account for the Mars War Challenge, which was basically like a new player challenge. So I went back and did it on an account that didn't have lots of gear or power or anything. And that's, there you go. Like I did the whole thing on a 2-month-old account. So that's about what it took. It took me about 2 months to unlock Split the Party, and then I did it right away. And that walked through the thought process on it. But yeah, Silese's guide specifically is like, you only want to have like 2 champions and all the time. And no, that's not like, that works great if you're a veteran that's doing it for the first time and you have a lot of power in your account, but a new player isn't necessarily going to be able to pull that off. So, yeah. CO, I'm a new player. Am I going to be able to get through the variants for Human, or should spend on missing merch free play to get gear? It's going to depend on how much favor you have. In the guide that I think it was pinned to Reddit, I don't know if it is at the moment, for my guide for the Grand Revel, it should have a scale in there that says how much favor you need to do the variants, and I think it's E10. You need to reach E10 to be able to easily do all 3 variants. So if you don't have E10 favor, then you might need to do a deep favor push this weekend, like today or tomorrow. But if you don't think you can do that, then you just gear up your champion as best you can by doing free plays for each of the champions up to level 51 and resetting. But yeah, check out the guide if you haven't yet. Glock says, I'd have used a half a party. Yeah. So for split the party, sometimes it's totally fine if you need to flesh out against the tree boss specifically, if you need to start filling in, and that qualifies for, level 14. Once you're past 13, when it resets, that's why I said 13. Once you're past 13, which is when it cuts your party, if you need to build up a half a party or an entire party to get to 15 and beat it, then that's what you do. Because after that, then you can, if you need to farm lots of gold and whatnot, you can. It's a great place. Split the Party is a great variant to use your epic potions on. So like huge potion of giant streaks, especially huge potion of clairvoyance for the extra gold. Huge potion of heroism for lots of health. You can't use any of the click damage stuff like the fire breath. That doesn't matter. And I wouldn't worry about speed, but if you could throw down the extra gold and use gold potions, that's fantastic. Health potions, fantastic. Damage potions, fantastic. Like that is the place to be using those potions that you've got in your inventory, or should have in your inventory. Oh, you know what I didn't do? It's the late code. Hey. Yay. I'm only about a month in, so I have a ways to go yet. If you're in Split the Party though, if you're able to do Split the Party a month in, if you have the champions to unlock and access and attempt Split the Party, go for it. Just watch that video and what I talk about and try to use your potions and, you know, maybe throw up formation. Like you can ask in the Discord is where you go to ask like formation advice, because there's a channel for that, #formations, but you can ask in the new player channel too, to say specifically you're trying to do Split the Party, but go into like the formations channel and say, I'm trying to do Split the Party. Here's what I have at the beginning. But really early on, I think the way I started off was like, well, I think through level 5, I was trying to kill everything with click damage. You know, Nayeli is going to be your first tank. And I think I ran like, you know, you could run like Nayeli, Brunor, and Jarlaxle to start if you wanted. But then when you get to the tree boss, you know, ideally you have somebody other than Jarlaxle as your DPS. It's just really going to depend. It's now been a while since I ran it. Question about feat slots. Does it matter what order you put the feats in? No. No. It's just here are the slots that you have available. Put them, and it's going to activate whatever. Doesn't matter if it's the top slot or the bottom slot. Eventually there may be a third slot. They talked about potentially adding a third feat slot at some point. Heard about the late code when I missed the chat. I got it. Yeah, it's in chat. It's literally the late code. Using Human and Ashara should get you past the Split the Party tree. Yeah, nowadays. Oh man. Oh man. If you're right now and you can pick up Human, right? Human and Ashara. Like Ashara is just ideal for the tree boss. Ashara is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful Aarakocra DPS for the tree boss, because Ashara throws out multiple attacks. So, you know, you throw in Human with Ashara, deleted. Can you get enough gold to unlock Ashara and Human by 14? Ooh. Maybe. If you farmed a lot. Human might be a little harder. Ashara, probably. It depends on how much you farm. Like I said, this is like, I like to just throw in all the gold potions and make all the monies. And I will sit and farm and farm and farm. Would Esmeralda help Ashara and Human? If you don't have enough gold to do Human and you have Esmeralda does the same thing Human does. So, or the same thing you can do with Human. Ultimately, it's about taking off, getting more credit. I think, didn't I use? Now I've got to look at my own link. Didn't I use? Come on. I'm pulling up my own video. Come on. Show me the money. Yeah, I had Nayeli, Ashara, Esmeralda, and Calliope. Because that's pretty effective. Because basically, Nayeli's going to be your take. Nayeli in Devotion, specifically. Don't run Vengeance. Devotion spec for the health. Ashara for the multi-hit. Esmeralda gave me the double chunkage. It looks like I would have had enough gold to get Human out back then, but if you've got Esmeralda works. And then I ran Calliope because shields, full party shields. I mean, Calliope shields your whole group. And again, you would run Calliope in lore and not valor for extra shields, probably. I don't know if that's what I did, but if you're having trouble staying alive, lore gets that shield out faster. Can you stack gold potions? Yes, you can stack all the potions. And each one multiplies against itself except for Fire Breath. Fire Breaths are additive. And speed potions cap out at 10x. So, let's see. Next weekend will be a natural time gate. Yes, it will. If I understood it correctly, I will get at least one champion for a missing slot for the second party. No. I could start on the first patron, but I'm missing one time. So, yeah, I think you heard that. Annulment, I think you heard that part wrong. You don't get at least one champion for a missing slot for the second party. You get at least one champion that you don't own. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get one that you need to fill out a second slot on an empty party. You get one champion from year one, guaranteed. And then from the other two slots, you're going to get one champion that you don't own. Or just total overall, you'll get one that you don't own. If you're newer, there's a chance that you're going to get 3 you don't own, and one of those may very well be for something that you don't have a double champions in. But natural time gates are just random, and they don't have anything outside of that. Currently, they guarantee a year one champion, and currently they guarantee a champion you don't own. As long as there still are champions you don't own, then that's what's going to happen. But it doesn't. I don't know that there's anything in there for flushing you out for split the party. Oh God, what's wrong with Benwyn? In this skin, Benwyn's been petrified by the Xanathar. Spoiler alert: Benwyn's dead. Benwyn chucked a spear, and very valiant. Benwyn chucked a spear into the middle eye of the Xanathar and burst its middle eye. In this effect, it's like he pulled it out, but he didn't live long enough to pull the eye out. Burst the middle eye of the Xanathar. Xanathar raged and used 2 attacks on Benwyn. One eye stalk did petrify, and it worked. Benwyn failed his save. The next eye stalk did disintegrate, and Benwyn became dust. So this is in honor of petrified Benwyn and his fight with the Xanathar. To this date, hasn't been resurrected. Who knows if it's ever going to happen. And yes, Jay's normally our mod for today, but then we had Dylan because technical difficulties, and now we have Sasha. So we've rotated all the mods today. Yeah, I think. Are we all caught up? Remember that session, Rip Benwyn and Rip DCA? Yeah, unfortunately. I don't think there's ever been a situation where, since then, where someone was like, oh, we need to resurrect Benwyn. And for all I know, that was Scott going, it's time for, Benwyn can just stay dead. I don't know. I mean, Benwyn lives on in our hearts. But no, Benwyn lives on in the game, and Benwyn lives on in comics, but, Benwyn just hasn't done a live show because he's still dead. Is there a pity timer on champion epic gear in gold chest? Is it reset if you open other chests in between them? Every chest has its own. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, so I will answer like this. Every chest has its own unique pity timer, every gold chest. So, for instance, if you're opening gold Human chests, that pity timer goes up and up every time you open a gold chest, but don't get a piece of epic gear. If you were then to open some Paulton gold chests, those gold chests have their own pity timer. So even if you get an epic piece of gear out of a Paulton chest, and you go back to opening Human chests still has their own pity timer. They all increment separately, and they should save their states over time. Question: Human replace Farida on your speed build? I see. Yep. Oh yeah. Should for everybody's. Show what spec you've got the champs in on your Modron. Oh yeah. Sure. For those who don't know, oh, that's not what I wanted. For those who don't know, not only can you choose your formation, and if you save your formation after having already set your specs, it saves the specs, but you can also just click down here on specializations to go see what spec everything is in. So I have, I don't know, neutral champions, and then the DPS version, and then this is like extra attacks for everyone within 2. This is speed, this is speed, this is speed. This doesn't matter. This is using up fewer sprint stacks. This is speed. And I can't remember what that one is. I don't think it... Does it matter? I don't think it matters. Let me go check. Human's so new, I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't even remember. Hold on. Boom. Oh, yeah, impressive coat work. Because I'm not trying to switch. I'm not trying to switch the race that... Because it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter for speed. Neither does this, so I just want impressive coat work. That's why I couldn't remember what it was. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Is it even possible to resurrect someone who's been disintegrated? Well, it's possible to bring them back. I use resurrect as a general term, but you can bring people back, and there are definitely people in and around, like definitely people Binwin adjacent who could either afford to have it done or could do it themselves, I'm sure, at some point. Can you get shiny or gold items from gold chests? You can get shinies from any chest that drops items. But golden items primarily just come from the cash shop. There are one in each of the patrons that you can purchase. And there has been at least one that was given away in an event, like a special event. But primarily goldens are cash purchase onlys. These are like this. That golden inner border. Usually that's the sweetener for making purchases in the shop. Catching up in chat. Not as many questions today, but thanks to everybody that came out to hang out with us on this chilly Saturday morning. It's chilly for me. It is, oh my. Yeah, it's a balmy 9 degrees Fahrenheit for me right now. Hold on, let me translate for all my viewers everywhere. That's a minus 12 Celsius. Yeah, I am wearing, normally I would be wearing a hoodie because it's even in my room, it's cold, even with the heater on, because I've got windows and it just gets cold in here. But I'm wearing my warm house boots and snowboarding snowboarding socks, even with those, because even with both of those, my feet are still cold. Actually, Human's second spec does increase the speed, does it? It's impressive coat work. All teamwork abilities. Does that buff this? Does it take it to 106.5? Hold on. There we go. I didn't think it changed teamwork. I thought it was... I didn't think it changed the speed effect. But hey, let's find out live on stream. It does. Okay, so the right spec is what you want, because it doubles this. All right. I was wondering how you could get to 100% so easily, but there you go. Human's new. We're all learning as we go. Boom. So it is all teamwork abilities. Yay! So yeah, go right spec for Human. Keep in mind, please stand by also means that hit-based enemies have a 50% chance of spawning with 25% of their hits already gone. This is that part. Khalib's Gleb's contribution here helps out in Mad Wizard as well, because when you get to those barrier zones, there is that chance of them having reduced number of hits. Where do you say you can see current specializations? I didn't see where. It's part of the Modron stuff. So under set formation, you can click specializations, and it comes right here, and you can change it. It doesn't change what spec they are right now, but when this resets, see, I can just do that. When this resets, I could have done that earlier, I guess, to see which one I had. This is what they will load in with if you're leveling them up with familiars. Noob question, but what should I spend my gems on when I'm just getting started? Silver chest or save for gold? It depends. I don't know if somebody put GVA in chat yet. But there's a gems visual aid there that you can check out. And it kind of goes over the thought process in a kind of a... I gave Mars like a flowchart explanation, and he turned it into that visual aid, and I think it works really well the way he did it. So it basically goes through the thought process of how you decide, like, what do you look at? Like, where's your gear at, and what do you own, or what are you doing, and then what should you get at that point? It works pretty well. Give me 1 second. All right. We had the emote up. The other, while I blew my nose, the other downside of it being real cold is your nose likes to be running. Mine does anyway, but it makes it even worse now. Must have really bad luck then, or should have at least 4 epics for Human, but only have 2. Must be duplicates or more chests before the pity timer than I thought. So the pity timer, your initial, when you get a chest, when you encounter a chest of a certain time for the first time ever, so a Human chest, like a gold chest, the pity timer starts at 4. So at your worst luck, you will get 1 epic in 4. But then after that, it resets to the normal pity timer, which is 10. So if you have 2 epics on Human, you have opened at most, well, somewhere between 14 and 23 chests if you have horrible luck. You could open up to 23 chests, gold chests, specifically on Human, to get 2 epics, because that would have been max pity timer of 4, and then max pity timer of 10 to get you to 14, and then 9 more could get you all the way up to 23 before you got that 10th pity timer again. So that's why I shoot for 24 gold epics for each event champ, which I have gotten 23 so far. Oh, that's what I should be doing right now. Hold on. I should be doing a run to see if I can get another Human gold chest. I don't know if I will. My pity timer is literally at 1, so the next gold chest I get for Human will give me my 3rd. But I just got a gold, which means I have a 1 in 4 shot at the moment of, well, technically it's 33%, but I'm not on a pity timer right now for getting a gold chest. Yeah, it's cold in a lot of places. I think the issue for me right now is that it wasn't just cold here, but it rained, so we had freezing rain, and that was all we had. So so it was just black ice everywhere on the roads, which caused lots of accidents and makes it nearly impossible to go drive anywhere, especially where I am. There's lots of inclines and hills, so you just slide all over. But we did, because of the lakes that are north of us. There was a wind from the north that swept across the lakes and picked up the warm air and the water and then dumped snow on us. So we did get a light dusting of snow that's actually given us traction to go out and about. I don't know if I'm going to actually attempt to go out and about today or not. I think we have enough food that we can last another week. But the problem is tomorrow it's supposed to dump like 10 inches of snow on us. So, and our temperatures aren't projected to get above freezing until next weekend. So hopefully we got enough food in the house to last for another week. We should be fine. Catch up in chat. Is that the odds of a random chest being gold? Random chest on the odds of a random chest being gold on the free play is 1 in 3. However, the pity timer is 4. So they make it real easy to get you a gold chest. Like, you only have to, like, if you miss the 1 in 3 chance, you're getting it on the 4th. Yeah. Nice overlay when I go off. This was, yeah, this is the emote. This is the, well, it looks kind of like I'm coughing, but it's the, are you pondering what I'm parting? It's the Gar thinking emote here, if you sub on here on the C&E Games channel. And then there's the Gar Home Alone emote, you know, which is, and then there's the facepalm emote, which I see Dread Cactus used. At a terrible rate of 7 silver Human chests in a row. You can't do that, Kendra. You literally can't. You got a gold in there somewhere. You got 2 golds in there. If you have 7 silver Human chests, you also got 2 gold Human chests somewhere in there along the way. Because you can only get 3 silvers in a row for the same champion. And then it will automatically give you a gold on the next one. So if that didn't happen, submit a ticket, but I've never seen that be wrong. Yeah, we got about 15 minutes left, so we can chill and chat. We'll see. I should be able to get to level 50, and we'll see what my lucks are. My luck is here. Just unlocked the last Elvogreen Alcoria, and the final Patron Strahd. I have campaign globals up to the last Avernus, but not started Icewind Dale. I've done about a dozen patron variants so far. Gear mostly blues. What is the next priority? Patron stuff. I mean, have you unlocked multi-party and Modron? If you haven't, do that. You didn't mention that. I would think you would have if you've got Strahd out. Depends on if you're following, if you looked at my new player reference or not. But yeah, if you have all the evergreens and you've got all the patrons unlocked, hopefully you have multi-party and Modron unlocked. Otherwise, get that done. And then it's all about doing variants. It's about doing all the variants so that you can do all the patron variants, because your next goal then is Mertz challenge accepted. So the first patron perk you want to target in the global is the tier 4 global challenge accepted. So you need to work through Mert as much as you can. First, you dump as much as possible on the left, because that gives you the most power, but you're trying to get to here. If along the way you need to do get some global power out of over here, like for these, first couples as well. But eventually ultimately this is your target, to get challenge accepted, which increases the amount of patron challenge reward earned by 20%. That should be your first goal in patrons. If you've got everything else done and you're just down to doing patrons, that's it. Should I save gems for the second core or chests? If you don't have all epics, just, you can do a mix of spending some on epics while saving some for chests. I mean, you could do both at the same time. Yeah. How to increase favor after soft cap in Avernus to earn last global? Don't worry about it. You need to up your patron power and your Modron power. That's where it's going to come from. If you've already got all the blessings, all the global blessings in everywhere except for Icewind Dale, then you need your patron perks and you need your Modron core. You need the power from both of those. That's what's going to help you push past wherever you currently are when you're soft capped in any campaign. Does the 1 in 3 chance with the 4th pity timer apply across all 3 free plays, or is it individual? It's individual. So you could do you could start off, you could have just gotten golds in for Paulton, Havilar, and Human, and you hop in and you do 3 Paultons, and then you switch over and you get 3 silvers, and then you switch over to Human. You can get 3 silvers there. Then you switch over to Havilar, you can get 3 silvers there. They're all their own unique pity timer. That next one is going to get you, for each of those, would then get you the gold. Anyone know if I should pay attention to item level or item rarity? Both. I have Dinar and greens at item level 42, but Kron and blues and purples at item level 26. Yeah, it's both. What you're comparing there then is what is the total percent effect, right? So like this says 357.6 and this says 877.7. Like, you're just looking at what the total overall bonus is when they're not the same color. Ultimately, the total overall bonus is what matters in the first place. It's just that the rarity, as the rarity goes up, it's going to increase that. And your item levels stick around. So even if you're like at a green 20, when you get that blue, you're going to keep those 20 item levels and go up and continue to go up. So it's fine. That's just part of leveling things up. But you want to look at just the total overall power you're getting from each champion, and not just worry about the colors of their gear. What else we got? Yeah, I mean, it's when working on this. Ooh, we're about to get there. When working on these, it's it's just time and tokens. That's why I save up all my bounty contracts and then I use them each event, is to try to maximize the amount of gear I can get for each champion, and I don't bank bounty contracts and try to decide, well, I like this one or I don't like that one. I just try to get them all geared up equally. When I was running the Gaarawarr account, the new player account, I would do the same thing. I dumped all my bounty contracts each event, but I split them up equally between each champion so that they all had roughly equal gear, so that I could use them all when I needed them and not just whoever I focused on, which is why I recommend that, especially for new players. Okay, here we go. Finished it. Let's see what I got. It's probably a silver. Yep. Dang it. All right. No. All right. Well, I don't know. Man. I burned a lot of tokens and I still didn't get... I just had real bad luck this time around. I still didn't get to 24 gold chests on Human, and I burned over, like, in bounty contracts, I burned like 80,000 tokens worth of bounty contracts. That's about what I get right now. Yeah, like 400 gold chests. I opened 400 gold chests, and that was the amount I got. So I may have to burn some. I have a lot for the next one. 600, a little over 600 bounty contracts total for the next event. I may burn some of those this weekend so that I can try to get the next, just enough to get me. I will probably wait until Monday, and if I haven't gotten it by Monday, I will probably try to get that last, because my pity timer is on 1. So the next gold chest I open for Human will give me a gold, which would put me at 3 epics, which is what I want. And yeah, when you're looking at gear for your event champions, as mentioned in chat, I target 3 epics, but generally speaking, a new player should target trying to get all blues. Ideally, at least as many blues as possible for each champion. And if you get epics along the way, fantastic. That's bonus when you're getting an event champion. But I consider a champion viable for usage if they're at least blue gear. Some champions are strong and you can use them in blue greens. But if they're below that, they're probably not going to be a great swap in that slot. So that's one of the great benefits of having Electrum chests now, because Electrum chests are going to drop. You're going to get a lot of them each week for free, just for entering in those codes. And they'll drop gear for every champion you own, and the gear will go up to blues. So Electrums will make, for new players especially, they will make champions more viable. The more you open them, the more better your gear gets. You still will have to go hunt down all of those epics via events or time gates or patrons. But Electrums are fantastic for newer players. I still would open up silvers first and then Electrums you try to get you up to blue, and then golds last, if you're trying to be super efficient about it. But you can just open them up as you get them if you want. Just realized I have 3 epics on Human. I did okay. Yeah, I mean, 3 epics on the newest champ is my goal. That's the minimum I try to get to, and I don't always get there. So if you can pull that off, that's great. But it's just if you're trying to, if you're a new player and you're picking up all 3 champions for the first time, don't worry about how many epics you're getting on any of them. Just try to get them into all blue, if you can. And that's why I hoard. That's why I hoard my Electrums. You see them. I got 21 of them already sitting for the next event. That'll probably be what, 40 plus by the time the next event rolls around. So, I should be able to get that next champion into all blues pretty easily, and then the epics are the bonus after that. My new gem farming has gotten me a lot of gems though, because I spent basically down to nothing at the start of this event. So I feel like I'm doing a little better on the gem farms. I could probably spend more time gem farming. I didn't necessarily do as much as I should have. But yeah. I'm only getting whites out of Electrums. Well, yeah, that's because they follow the silver. So they follow the silver rules as far as I can tell from opening chests, which means whites are the most common, greens are uncommon, and blues are rare. So they're going to literally follow that paradigm. But the more you open, the more chances you'll get of getting those greens and those blues, just like you would if you're opening silvers. So it is possible to get them out. It's just, it's not going to follow. It's not like golds. Golds have an guaranteed upgrade path where you're going to get, at minimum a green, but they guarantee you a blue usually every chest. And then you're going to upgrade something, but that upgrade may be from nothing or a white to a green instead of a blue. And then the purples are just bonus, right? So it definitely is easier to get to blues with using gold chests, but you don't get gold chests for free. So Keelik seems to be a good alternative to Celeste, but placing him seems to be more difficult. Yeah, I mean, different slots, but if you're looking for healers, Keelik can heal everyone, whereas Celeste only heals in front, but there's a lot more, like they each have their finicky placement requirements. Like Celeste wants to be adjacent to your DPS and also within either one, like right behind the front column, or 2 behind the front column, depending on which spec you choose, whereas Keelik can heal from anywhere, but wants to be adjacent to the DPS as well, but also far away from other things, and potentially far away from other champions, and there's a lot more shenanigans with Keelik that you got to keep in mind. And it may not always be worth it to trade for the shields that come off of Calliope. Just depends on the situation. And yeah, I did that 2 weeks ago. Gaarawarr's Guide to the Heroes of Erois on the YouTube channel. I went over Keelik in that because he is one of the heroes of Erois. How many did I even... I think I used up all of my stacks, yeah. So I won't get any jumps this round because I used all that up. Sad day. I've got a lot of speed potions, though. I'll just throw a boost. I should turn the potions back on and burn them off, but I don't. Lately, I haven't used potions for anything, which is why my potion numbers are so high. I feel bad because there's so many of them. But I haven't needed them for anything. So I think I'm at the point where, because all I'm doing primarily is gem farming, I need to go do more. I need to go do more of my patron variants. I'm behind. I haven't done some of the most recent stuff, which is why these aren't at 100. I might need them there. I'll use them anyway. Probably. What was that one adventure level that's great for Briv stacks? One of his variants. Yeah. One of Briv's specific variants. I can't remember off the top of my head. It should be in my guide to Briv on the Reddit. Hopefully. But yeah, you set him up on a ranged level. You can do it on any ranged level, though. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But you can do it in like less than a half an hour. You can get his 250,000 stacks in less than 30 minutes on his specific variant level once you get it set up. But you can do it on any ranged level that you can do that setup with. How many item levels do you get per color if you have epics? Does this question make sense? Oh, Isn't it like, ooh, like per duplicate? Man. See, I got a reference because that isn't a factoid that I find relevant to my daily life. So I don't keep it in my head. Oh, I was almost there. I was going to say 1248, but no, it's 12624. So a white duplicate gives you +1 level, an uncommon gives you +2, a rare gives you +6, and an epic gives you +24. There you go. Certain factoids like that, if I know where to find it quickly, I don't try to memorize them. Which is why I didn't do well in those classes in college where they're all rote memorization. It's like, why? Like, if they're all in reference books, why do I have to memorize it all? Why can't I memorize the concepts? Next Friday or during Idle Chatter, we talk about the Idle Champions Presents Daily Challenges. Star Chaser 42. That is 43. That is a very prescient question. I will say that, so for those who don't know, Idle Champions Presents is the new TRPG show that will be premiering February 22nd here on the C&E Games channel. Starting next week, February 16th, which I believe is Tuesday, you will get a chance to vote on some things that may happen in that show. The first Idle Champions Presents is the Unfair Seas, and it features B. Dave Walters as the DM. With the players that have been announced so far being Mark Meir as Bayloth the Entertainer, Aaron M. Evans as Havilar, and Vivid Vidka as the Black Viper, and Christina Ariel as, I believe, Ariza. Is that how her? I swear that's how it's named. Or Arissa, Ariza. I will find out. I don't watch Sirens as much as I should, but that is also the character she plays in Improvised Champions. And then we have some unknown guest that will also be appearing. Anyway, that vote will start on Tuesday. I will say that there will be discussion on my stream on Tuesday about that. That's what I will say. And we'll probably talk about it again on GG2E next Friday. What are good strats for new? We'll close out on this because we can go a minute or two over because we were a minute or two late. What are good strats for new players in the early game? Justin Baltier. If someone wants to do here, I'll do it. There is now a new player reference, a guided tour. If you go to that link, if you want, efficient strategies for how to play through the early game. I did a very hand-holdy walkthrough of what I consider to be the early parts of this game. Just Baltier. So check that out. Is there a golden epic in the patron stores that you'd say is more valuable between Alcoria, Azaka, and Dragonbait for gameplay? Ooh. Off the top of my head, I don't remember. So this was Adept Traveler, so I don't remember which one this was. Oh, it had to have been Health. So right now I'm thinking that. Health. Like whenever you can increase the health of a tank, that's fantastic. So if Dragonbait Shield is what I got out of there, then yes, and I think it was because everything else is shiny. Yeah. And then this is all champs damage. So I would say Dragonbait's health, because you're probably going to be using Dragonbaits in more variants than you're going to be using Alcoria for. I liked waiting until I was all shiny on everything and then getting that, because then it kicked me out of Potion of Polish so that I would get to use on event champions. How do I get over my OCD of not pushing to my wall? It is so hard to reset on event play right after 50, even if I don't need the favor. Automate it if you can. Because the amount of, it's just not worth your time. It's just not worth your time. But automation if you can. Otherwise, just kind of drive into your head, it's not worth my time if I already have enough favor. Because the game's all about efficiency. How long does it take for this stream to make it to YouTube? Master Burglar, because it's the weekend, it takes until like Monday or Tuesday. Normally it's up like the next day for most of the streams, but this should appear Monday or Tuesday, because it's the Friday and the Saturday streams appear like Monday or Tuesday, depending on how quickly they can get up. It is a holiday in Canada on Monday, so it'd probably be like Tuesday or Wednesday. And we will stop there. Thank you all for joining me again. Because I should touch on this. Because it is a holiday for up in Canada, as I like to call it. It is Canada, but it's regal sounding when I say Canada. Up in Canada, they have a holiday on Monday. We have one here in the U.S. too, but they're a Canadian company, so they follow Canadian holidays. So they will have Champions of Lore Monday morning at 11 a.m. Pacifically. That's the new way I'm going to say it. But they won't have an afternoon show on Monday. And then Tuesday, they should have Champions of Psychology at 11 a.m. And then there may be something going on that afternoon. Maybe involving me. And on their channel. Because there's no Bardic Inspiration. Because, again, holidays set everything off. But then Wednesday, there's like 3 shows. Wednesday, there's Evergreen Champions in the morning, Mars' Guiding Hand in the afternoon, and Improvised Champions again in the evening. So, yeah, lots of stream love next week, kind of in the middle of the week. So I will catch you all then. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Stay warm. If you do go out and around people, make sure you're wearing your masks, keeping safe. And I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.